So this is an upper level writing question, which is a shame because it means only 4 people are going to see the answer. And if you're a writer, I think you're going to want to see it. But this is from a woman who just read my book, A Paper Orchestra, and she just sent me a really kind email saying how much she loved it. And now she has a question about how she could go about writing something similar. So she says, with memoir, the external events are the easiest, internal, not so much. And I loved how he wrote in the epilogue about examining what the story is really about. You think Michael has you by the hand and is leading you on somewhat of a predictable outcome and how it's going to play out, even the moral or lesson, then bang, he internally misdirects and you were like, wow. Then you have to sit with it and examine your own life. Hard to explain, but I'm still sitting with some of the stories I read last week. So thank you so much. And yeah, the book has an epilogue, which if you're a writer, don't skip that part because that explains how I went about actually writing many of the stories and the obstacles I faced and how I overcame them to actually turn it into a story. So I credit learning how to write this book to the comedian Mark Maron. Years ago, he had a show on IFC, and my writing partner and I were the showrunners. So it was our job to take, like, Mark would have a memory from his life, which might be only 2 or 3 minutes long if you said it. And it was our job to figure out how to dramatize that and turn it into a half hour of television, how to really turn it into a story. And Mark was absolutely fearless. Like in the writer's room, he would pitch his, a memory. And I remember saying to him, you really want to talk about this? You want to go there? And he was like, oh yeah, I want to go there. And I'm like, damn, okay, he's going for it. Like he was fearless. Now, we came from the world of network television. So, sitcoms and stuff. And so often we would write a draft and turn it into the network, and the network would give us notes. And they'd say, we don't want the character saying this or doing this. We don't like that. Can you come up with something else? Which is a fair note. These were fictitious characters, and you could come up with the character doing something different, a different choice. And, maybe I don't like it as much, but it wouldn't deconstruct the character. It's still consistent with what the character would do. But with Maron, we would turn in a draft, and the network would often say, we don't really like the character saying or doing this. And Mark would come back and say, well, too bad. That's what I said, and that's what I did. And our executive in charge was Christine Lubrano, a lovely woman. And to her great credit, she would say, okay, do it that way. And this is almost like a miracle. It's almost unheard of, for an executive to give you that kind of creative freedom. And she was like, yes, go for the truth. If it's true, pursue the truth. And that's what we did. And I think that's why the show touched so many people. Sorry, I wanted to get rid of that part over there. So when I was writing my book, A Paper Orchestra, it was basically just me doing my version of Maron, the TV show. Only instead of Mark being the star, I'm the star. And instead of being a TV show, it's a book. But each chapter is like an episode of television, and I'm putting it on paper. And so I'm dramatizing my small memories, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that compelling into a story. So when you read it, it kind of reads like an episode of TV or a miniature movie or something. Now, the answer to this woman's question, I believe, lies in the question itself, because she wants to know when I'm projecting some kind of, moral of the story or lesson, how do I do that? And I don't do that. So with each of my stories, I'm not trying to get you to think a certain way. That's what a moral or a lesson does. I don't really care what you think. I'm trying to get you to feel something. That's what I want. And feeling comes from the heart. That's the takeaway. I just want you to feel some kind of emotion, probably uncomfortable emotion, and I want you to sit in it. And so when she says, I've been sitting in it for a week, yeah, good. That's what I was trying to do. And the only way you can get someone to sit in an emotion is by talking about the truth and by being vulnerable and by going there. And if you're uncomfortable doing that as a writer, well, too bad. That's what you're signing up for. That's the job of the writer. And if you withhold the truth from your reader, they're going to lose interest. But if you give them the truth, if you take the time to figure out what the truth is, and if you're brave enough to share the truth, then you'll get, letters like that from people who say, yeah, you really affected me. The truth, you can hide it from your reader, but they'll pick up on it and they won't read more. But you can't hide it from yourself. That's criminal. And so many of the stories in my book really feel like apologies to the people that I've hurt over the years. And usually you're hurting the people that you love the most. That's just how that goes. So you owe it to them to apologize. And the gift that you can give yourself is to take something uncomfortable with inside you and transform it into art. And then when you do, you understand yourself, you understand your place in the world, and then hopefully people like this woman here feel the same way. And now you're less alone. Now everyone feels less alone. I think that's the joy and the miracle of what what writing can do. Signed copies are available at michaeljamin.com/book, and you can also find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or the ebook or the audiobook as well on Spotify and Audible and Apple. Thank you for the observation.